Hello anyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney, where we're finally, maybe, getting to the bottom of the McGilded case. In amongst a whole lot of other stuff, like Gina being arrested for murder, Susato having to go back to Japan because her father's ill. I mean, my guess is he's probably been poisoned, because, you know, Ace Attorney game, but that's neither here nor there right now. Sholmes was shot. Basically, it's all going great. So let's find out what Gina's been lying about, shall we? Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The coppers got hold of me and shoved me in the witness stand. And based on your testimony, Mr. McGilded was declared innocent. Yeah, well, the thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff. I knew it. What sort of thing did you lie about? I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in that little cubbyhole. I couldn't see a thing, and then I heard that loud thud, like someone falling on the floor. And that's when Mr. McGilded discovered you. Yeah. He pulled me out from under the seat and sat me next to the dead man. There weren't much light to see by, but when I looked at my hands, I had the cope's blood all over him. I was so scared, I couldn't even speak. You had his blood on your hands. In other words, it was Gina that the witnesses on the roof deck saw through the skylight. Then Mr. McGilded started asking you questions, I suppose. Who you were, and why you were hiding under the seat. Yeah, he did, only that's not all. What do you mean? I mean, he threatened me. Threatened you how? He made me swear about what I'd seen and what I'd heard, and about what he was going to do after the cove was found dead. He made me swear I wouldn't tell no one about any of it. If I did that, he said he'd let me scalp her before the coppers showed up. Gina, you must tell me what he swore you to secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. I mean, it's good to be learning this stuff now, but not when I expected to do so. I guess this is the last case of this game, so it had to happen at some point. You said Miss Gilded made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw. But you were in the pitch-black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you? Yes, Miss McGilded sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the covey hitting the floor. I let out a little scream, see? Couldn't help it. McGilded heard that and dragged me out by my arm, and that's when I saw it. It was on the floor next to the old geezer what had been stabbed. A disc, all bright and shiny. A disc? Do you mean... Yeah, that's it. The one what the D took off me at the Winterbanks. So the music box disc was there on the floor of the omnibus. Not for long, McGilded spotted it straight away. He picked it up smartish and stuffed it in his inside pocket. So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. Not what I expected, but okay. And the bog trotter told me I weren't to mutter a word of it to no one. Because it was so dark under that seat in the cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. After a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably that was McGilded getting on board. Nah, not only him. Oh! Because I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would seem likely that it was Mr. McGilded and the victim. Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In his testimony during the trial, McGilded claimed that he slept during the carriage ride. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it. And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Yeah, that weren't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear him talking the whole time in low voices. What? What were they talking about? Sorry, I dunno. The sound of the horses and the wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGilded and the victim knew each other. So McGilded was lying, as I suspected. I knew it wasn't going to take long before someone raised the alarm that the bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, McGilded told me to hide back under the seat again. I climbed in and waited. The two covies from up top ran off to get the coppers. Yes, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. Right, and after they'd gone, McGilded asked the driver to do him a favour. A favour? Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. Aye, I'll give you 10 guineas. A nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street? Yep, you got it. It was Winterbank's. The coachie snapped up the money and ran off to pop this coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. McGilded opened the box under the seat and let me get out of there, but not without conditions. I see. What were Mr. McGilded's conditions then? For letting you go free, I mean. Not telling a soul, not for anything, about what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well. There's more? Yeah. This is the most important thing, he said. I'm after sending the coachman our little errand for me, with some small change in his hand. Now then, did you hear what I asked of him? Did you see anything at all? You asked him to go pop your weasel, right? Aye, the fiend's taken me overcoat to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts. And I want you, lass, to take the redemption ticket for it. Do you understand? What? You want me to have the ticket? That's right, and I'll come fetch it from you later, sometime within the next 2 months. You're to hang on to it until then, is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. All right then. And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop, Winterbank's so it is, and you're to extend the loan afore the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article will be forfeited and any old fiend could come along and buy it. Eh? But I ain't got that kind of brass. It's £5. That should be enough. Do we understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now, if you go against me. Yeah, I get it. Good. And one more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye, now come asking you to take the stand in court, to testify as a witness. So let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What is it that you might say, and what it is that you won't? After he'd gone over it all, I piked it, got as far away from there as I could. He hid the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. I went to fetch it the next day once it got dark. So McGilded planned it, and coerced Gina into giving false testimony. I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied. In that big old courtroom, I told some corkers. The thing is, he said he would make it so he couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What a wicked man! He knew everything what went on in the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us, and we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGilded would have... In an heartbeat, he could have had the lot of us chased out of there if he'd wanted. And then where could we have gone, eh? Nowhere, that's where. So, I didn't have no choice. Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything. But, I'm for it now, eh? Go on, admit it, you must be livid. Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favour. A favour? What? Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial. Eh? If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. The police won't let us. Investigate what? The scene of the incident last night. Mr. Sholmes was shot, you see. You what? Well, he's having a big operation right now, Ginny. Is it bad? Is he going to be alright? Sholmes is going to be alright, right? That's why I want to investigate, for Mr. Sholmes' sake as much as anything. Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy, is that it? Something like that. Mrs. Zato. Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here. I don't need no one to stick up for me, though. No lawyer or nothing. Poor Ginny. She seems so lonely. Well, at least this should mean we can investigate the scene at Winterbanks now. Yes, and perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when we're done there. I feel like we finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last. And now I have her representation papers. No one else knows just what a responsibility that is. Anyway, for now it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Winterbanks. Although something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. Ooh, another TBC. There's been a few of those. And I think I'm going to take a break, because I've recorded quite a bit today, and my voice is starting to go. So, yeah, be right back. Okay, where did we leave off? Ah, I'm being auto-transported. Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? You should go home and get some rest. Here you are, Gregsy. Here are the representation papers. Your ladyship. How? I can't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you. It's good work, that is. I can see you've been very busy here as well. How about some tea? It's a special blend designed to relieve fatigue. Lovely. Well, let's see now. Yes, I hardly feel tired at all. I'm fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be alright if we investigated the scene of the crime, then? Do as you please. You know where it happened. Through that door behind the counter. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Winterbank and Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. There are so many articles to go through, it's taken forever, even with the lads working round the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the Yard needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, sunshine. Come then, let us not waste any time. Okay. Well, the capture card lasted all of 2 minutes before crashing. I swear, as soon as my laptop decides it wants to do a Windows update, it completely gives up on running this thing. Can I look at the broken lamp now? There's the article ledger here, and Mr. Winterbank's notes, and... What's this? It looks as though someone has left a little photographic print behind. Oh, look on the back. There's some writing. Is there? Oh, show us, Susie, show us! "15th of February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th of April, 10:30 p.m. A gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1. Clearly it was a very fine coat. In fact, I think... Yes, this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Ginny redeemed yesterday. And is still wearing, which belonged to McGilded. I would never have expected the... Oh, for goodness sake. Ugh, capture card is having a no good, very bad day, apparently. I would never have expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. It seems Mr. Winterbank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have to hand. But this photograph of a cat... It looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact same picture somewhere else recently. Oh, yes, you're right. Very recently. It's the same as the one Ginny gave us earlier. Of course, I was forgetting that she gave us that print. Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruhodo? Get it out! All right, let the cogs turn. Yes, they are exactly the same. Oh, the capture card's frozen, good lord. Dark capture card, give me more than a minute of video. I'm begging. Anyway. Hee, I've got it! These 2 photographs hide an amazing secret. A secret? What does she mean? You must tell us, Iris, at once. Hee, do you really want to know? Yes, we need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. Okay, I'm going to keep looking around first. We'll come back to that. Also, I guess we're not talking about the broken lamp. That ledger that's open on the counter there really is enormous, isn't it? It must be an awful lot of work to keep track of all these hundreds of items in pawn. It's too much to think about. Better to sell it all and have a clear head if you ask me. But clearly Mr. Winterbank was very careful when it came to the articles in his care. I mean, frankly, I'll be surprised if he didn't just shoot himself at this point. Given that he continually threatened to do so. That's a music box. Do you have them where you come from, Runo? Yes, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan. Oh well, this will be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound? It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you first looks. Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Grexy to have a word. Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. I mean, I trust her. These shelves are where the pawnbroker puts articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy. Yes, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would buy this horse statue, for example? Well, sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know. Are you alright, Runo? Oh, it's just... well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them, even that horse statue. That's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever. This that strange contraption that lets you see pictures of things as if they're right in front of your eyes. It makes you think, when Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. Ah, look here! Oh yes, a bullet hole, and I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall. Presumably Mr. Winterbank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. Ah, well. Mr. Sholmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that. Sorry. It's all there in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps. In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It is quite a dangerous pastime. He doesn't do it often. He shouldn't even do it once. Forget that for now, Runo. Let's examine this bullet. Are we about to Emma Sky this thing? What's that around the bullet hole? Is it blood? A suspicious red stain on the calendar. Aha! I may well be able to help with that! What? There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Bruno? I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris. I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. Hey, have it, you see? When it comes to blood, we're all different types. Yes, what a scientific observation. So you need this! Oh no, what is that scary-looking thing? Hurley and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet. But as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch! Oh, the colour of the bloodstain has changed. There, does it make sense now? Yes, I think I'm starting to understand. Good, it works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see. Yes, how wonderful. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change colour. So you can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at. In a flash! Oh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's bleeding great. So, whose blood are we looking at then? Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood a different colour, so... Just find someone whose blood turns the same colour, and you'll know who it belongs to. In a flash. Capture card, I swear. Oh boy, laptop has been restarted twice more. I'm seriously considering throwing my capture card out of the window. But here we are again. It's more like 2 flashes really, isn't it? 1 flash or 2, this could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. So we must make note of it in the court record. Okay. Let's keep testing and adding the results of any other blood analysis to the portfolio. As long as I have reagent left, sure. Fabulous. Green blood. It just seems wrong somehow. Oh, there are all sorts of different colours. There are pretty pinks and purples too, you know. Like I said, everyone's blood is different. I wonder what colour my blood would turn out. Actually, I don't want to know. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again. Oh yes, that's a folding stereoscope. Really? This is a stereoscope? Mr. Sholmes showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that, he used the great big contraption over there. Oh well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is much simpler designed for use at home. There are special shops selling prints you can use in them. I have a little collection myself. I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It would beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. Is that a regular Ace Attorney reference? Adorable. Right. This officer's been staring intently at the wall since before we came in here. Shh, keep it down. Oh, sorry. There's a major clue just here. Really? Then we must tell Gregsy at once. But as soon as I report it, that'll be it. I'll be stuck here even longer. Stuck here? What do you mean? I haven't been home in 2 days already. I need another constable to relieve me and take over my shift. They really have a tough time, the British police. That doesn't stop us investigating though, does it? No, I suppose not. I'm fairly sure it was the calendar he was peering at. The police are scouring every inch of this place by the look of it. Instructions from the yard are to examine every article in the shop and every ledger and book of accounts. Every article? But that's a ridiculous amount of work, surely. We've been hard at it ever since the shop was declared a crime scene in the early hours. We're sifting through it all in shifts at least, but still. We'll be working through the night, that's for sure, and even then we'll barely scratch the surface. A crime in a pawnbroker's. It must be every policeman's worst nightmare. It's every copper's worst nightmare, you know, a crime in a pawnbroker's. The police are scouring every inch of this place by the look of it. Instructions from the... Okay, this is the same thing. Okay. And yet it's not skippable. Yay! I think that's everything in here, so... Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Gregsy said. Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. Okay, so that's not really a place he'd have shot himself. Mr. Winterbank face down on the floor, with Gina beside him. As the accused's legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation. Yes, of course, and we will. Behind that door, that's the real scene of the crime. Don't worry, if there are clues in there, I'll find them. Do I have to do this via move? Yes, okay. But first we'll talk to Iris. So Iris, about those 2 photographic prints. The one we found here on Mr. Winterbank's counter, and the one Gina gave us before. What is the amazing secret you mentioned that's hidden between these 2 identical prints? Are they identical though? Is it just me, or is the cat looking in a slightly different direction in the one on the right? Actually, that's not quite right. Sorry. If you look carefully, the 2 prints aren't the same. Not exactly. Nah, they're not. Have another look at them now. Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other? I think so. It's very subtle though. But what's the reason for the subtle difference between the 2 prints? Oh, well, it's because they're a set, you see. No, I don't. This pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment. Ah, a stereoscope. Why do I feel as though I've heard that word before recently? Oh, yes. That's what Mr. Sholmes showed us yesterday. You see, there it is, just over there. Ah, yes, of course. That magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch. Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of those contraptions. What? Really? Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? No, I have no idea. Oh, wonderful. Then I'll be able to tell you. She's over the moon, bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene. I know I have low battery. I, for one, simply have to know. Have you ever considered, Runo, how our eyes see depth in the world around us? Well, I just open them, and it works. But the reason it works is because we have two eyes. Two eyes? Shocking. If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye, are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see. My brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me. Oh, I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick. So if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'd be able to see depth in these prints. Yes, Runo, you're beginning to understand. And the stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that. Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all. You can? Really? Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope. Oh yes, I'm dying to have a go. Zato-san really loves this kind of thing. You need to be able to cross your eyes, that's the main thing. Can you both do that? Cross my eyes? I think I can. I can. Watch me, and see if you can copy. I don't like that. Make your eyes do this. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? There, how's that? Wonderful, now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time. Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Alright, that's enough practice. Now let's try it looking at the prints. I really hope it's going to do this for me. Start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes. You should see two overlapping images like this. You try it now, Bruno. I'm just going to have to give it a try, I suppose. Did the print split into two images for you? Now the next step. This is very confusing. Is to put the pair of prints side by side like this, and then to try crossing your eyes again. The prints should slowly merge together. Until... they form a new single image in the centre. Oh yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works. I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. Oh, I could look at it all day. I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt. Your turn, Reno. Pretend you're looking through the two pictures and slowly cross your eyes. It does make a middle one, but the problem is my eyes are so focused on the bridge of my nose I can't actually see the picture. Yeah, I've got them to overlap. Like this, is it? There, you managed it. So now you know how stereoscopic images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary. So what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Runo? They're certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them properly. No, some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Oh, I recognise that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here, then set the pair of photographs in the stand at the back and... It's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now. Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently. But if these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them. But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case. Stereoscopic pictures, I never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learnt a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. I swear if it's not. Ugh, return of the DGS yawning. Do I need to examine this? This is the ticket that Gina brought in here yesterday. Yes, having been entrusted to her by Mr. McGilded 2 months earlier. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. And the other redemption ticket was in the pocket of that coat. Yes, for a small box deposited 2 days before the omnibus incident. Could that have anything to do with all this? Well, for now, let's head into the storeroom. Poor Iris, she's... Oh, hiccups, why? Why is this episode going so wrong? She's clammed up completely. Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Winterbank's life was taken in this very room only last night. Ah! Wait, Inspector. What is it now, Sunshine? You took one look at me and tried to run away. You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defence lawyer, do ya? Well... I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her. So you weren't running away from me, you were running away from a 10-year-old. Yeah, that checks out. I too would run away from a 10-year-old. I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector. Eh? Ahem. Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you? Well done, Gregson. Well done. I don't think that went very well. Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine, and I told you not to get under my feet. And we have investigating to do ourselves. Yes. I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say. Oh, Hurley. And inquire into how Mr. Sholmes's operation is going. I shall do that once I have looked around. Look at all these articles that have been deposited. The room is stuffed full of them. I can't believe how many there are. A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings, look! Pieces of different people's lives quietly gathering dust in here together. There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policeman shuffling around. Not much I can do about that, sunshine. Okay, so there's really not that much to look at in here. Out of all the articles in this storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. Ah! Is that the chest that Herlock said he was keeping the manuscript in? What is it, Iris? That's the box file that my manuscript was being kept in. Oh! Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Surely that's not what all this... Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he's sold it. Without telling you. We must check inside the box at once. Yes. Ah! It was there! Iris's story was there! Really? It was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris? Yes. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he said he deposited it here, but still. It's a relief to actually see it. But then how did Susato know the title of it? Really? Because that's not a very well hidden frown. Okay. Let's have a look at that. This is a revolver, a real one. And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Winterbank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You and Bruno look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh, and I've had issues with guns in the past. But anyway, we saw Mr. Winterbank with this yesterday, didn't we? Okay, so it was his gun. Okay, I'm back. I haven't actually played this in a while. My capture card died again, catastrophically. This has been the episode from hell in a way that I haven't had in a while. I've recorded about 50 minutes-ish, and it's already in 7 parts, so... Sorry, future Aurora, this is gonna suck to edit. But I don't entirely remember where we were up to. After the last desperate crash which blue-screened my computer, I gave up, and then the Animal Crossing update came out, so I've kind of been playing that for quite a long time. So, not 100% sure where we were up to, but yes, I haven't played this in almost 2 weeks, so... Oops. My bad. Right, what were we doing? Let's try and figure this out. I also have to remember the controls. Well, looks like we were ready to go somewhere else, at least. Okay, I have literally no idea what I'm meant to be doing. I've gone around everywhere and nowhere seems helpful, so time to check a walkthrough. Also, my capture card crashed again, and I swear I am about to chuck it out of the window. Okay, I'm not entirely sure if I found anything helpful, but there's a couple of pieces of evidence that I haven't examined, so let's do that. Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something rather troubling here. I have noticed. The red smear, you mean? Yes, it looks like blood, doesn't it? I wondered if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, I hadn't, clearly, though it has been a while. Well, in that case... Yes, we need Iris. We should show this to her before we forget. Okay, so I'll have to go back into the other room to do that. Good to know. The Hound of the Baskervilles. How did Susato-san know the exact title of this unpublished story? I suppose I'll just have to wait until she's ready to explain it to me. I'm so sorry. Okay. Fabulous. Let's chat to Iris then. Oh, my manuscript! Mr. Shom said he deposited it at Winterbanks, and he had. But it's so strange. What is it about this particular story? I worked so hard on it. Why would Hurley say I can't publish it? I'm afraid I have no idea. All you can do is wait until he's ready to tell you, I suppose. Oh, maybe. It's because Hurley isn't in it enough. Maybe I didn't give him enough good lines. Yes, maybe. I wish I could say that definitely isn't the reason, but I can't. Anyway, this is what we want to present. Oh, that looks like blood! I would say it's from a gloved finger. Almost certainly a glove made of leather. Well, don't worry, Runo. You can leave the rest to me. Ooh, good blood. Look at that. Yes, that's a colour we haven't seen before, isn't it? We simply must add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although, it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colours correspond to at some point. Well, this particular stain of blood. Oh, you've had an idea, haven't you? Do you know whose blood this is? Yeah, I saw it on the walkthrough, because I was an idiot. But it does make sense to me. Yes, I have an idea whose blood this is. Not from the colour it turned, but with a little deduction. That's right! I think it's clear. Iris, you know as well. You first, Runo. Who do you think it belongs to? Alright, I believe that this is the blood of... thrice-fired Mason. You don't sound very sure of yourself, the way you trailed off there. Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. And of course I'd never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice-fired, though. The victim of the omnibus case. Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-fired Mason. But that would mean that this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago. Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Winterbanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time. So it's a smear of blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. It certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint, this mark. But we know that Mr. McGilded had no injuries at the time anywhere on his body, from which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason. Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Sholmes. High praise indeed from Susato. Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope. Yes, I think you're right, Runo. Very well. Let's make a note of this. Okay, so I don't know what to do now again. Maybe now I've done that I'll be able to talk to Gina again. Nope. See, this is what happens when you put down a game in the middle of a case for 2 weeks. You no longer have any hecking idea what you're meant to be doing. Okay, apparently we do have to talk to Gregson again. Good grief, I really should have thought about this evidence earlier. But hey, Inspector Gregson, could you give me your opinion about this, do you think? We don't tend to share, Sunshine. Okay. I must have gone the wrong one. Yes, it's this one I need to present. Having two this similar is really annoying. Inspector, what do you make of this? Ah, what have we here then? A redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket from McGilded's overcoat, the one that little diver turned up with yesterday. Oh, actually no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do ya? No, I didn't mean to,
Reno's right, Gregsy. It isn't the same ticket.
Of course it ain't. Of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. So, what's all this about then, if I might be so bold as to ask? Wow, Gregson.
This is a second ticket.
A second one? It seems that Mr. McGilded in fact had another article in storage here at Winterbanks. Is that right?
I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. Well, at least we have Iris here, let's face it, that's gonna help. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilded's overcoat. Eh? You mean to tell me? Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems. Oh, I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly.
Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilded deposited another article here with Mr. Winterbank.
Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it?
Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilded. It could be an important clue.
Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes all full of open expectation. It's all too much pressure. I'll lose my marbles, I will. I'll go barking. This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector. That's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There is one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it?
Oh yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months.
So the small box will no longer be in here then? That's right, it's been forfeited.
Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop where the forfeited items are offered for sale.
Yes, the shelves in the front. We must search them at once. You're wasting your time.
Oh.
There are dozens of little boxes out there, hundreds even. You can't possibly know which one might have been McGilded's. That information's not written in the ledger. My guess is it's a music box that would play the disc, but seems too logical to hope for in an Ace Attorney game. Ugh.
Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case.
Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old.
Ah! I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How can Mr. Winterbank set such a wicked trap?
Good grief, I can't read. I doubt he set out to scare anyone.
Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon.
Oh?
Her trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that she only signed the paperwork just to, you know.
Don't you remember, Runo? You told her she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be her lawyer.
Really? Did I say that? Yes.
You did.
The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching. In that case, we'd better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again. Okay, let's do that then. Nice to be actually making progress. Ah, Gina, good. You're back. Ah! The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Eh? Oh, didn't bother me. Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Winterbanks. Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not... Gina, we came to ask for your final decision. Eh? What decision? About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not? I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see. She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Oh, right then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it? Unfortunately, we don't know that yet. You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime. And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish. Oh yeah? Like what? Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know now why you broke into Winterbanks that night. It looks like I'm going to have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason and thrust it in Gina's face. Or I could present it to her calmly, I suppose. That's a very me thing to say. I keep getting in trouble with my boss for saying I'll like throw stuff in the oven or chuck ingredients in and things. It's like I have to correct myself to say, okay, I will gently place the cake somewhere now. Anyway, present, that's what I was looking for. Sorry if I'm a bit all over the place today. It has been a very, very long week. We found this in Mr. Winterbank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story. Ah! Oh, right. Well, that's good then. Curiously, the storeroom at Winterbank showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night? Eh? You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Ah! Why don't you tell us what happened, please? Right, yeah, this Baskervilles story. It's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figured, it's gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? Oh yes, at least £5,000. What? So, you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you? No. Ginny, how could you? What? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I weren't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the manuscript, or whatever you call it, really was there or not. That's the only reason I was in the place. For Iris's sake, isn't that right? Ah! We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did. But... I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it.
Well, when I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you said the night before. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, the lot of them. You just ain't realised it yet. I'm telling you, that Mattel script ain't at Winterbanks. You'd soon see if you had a look.
If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean, that sometimes I wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Oh, Ginny, that was so sweet of you.
All right. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It weren't because of Iris. That's not why I did it. I wanted to know the truth, that's all. We wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest, if he'd really deposited the manuscript at Winterbanks. It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She's got her dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon that's got to be harder. Well, you say that she has her dad. We are carefully avoiding mentioning to her that he's been murdered, because that seems like a great plan. That's why she writes her stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me, anyway. Last night when I was listening to what you were saying.
Stories about Daddy?
You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective, so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner? Well, that's how I see it, yeah.
You're so thoughtful and so kind, Ginny.
Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I ate this chummy nonsense. Did you hear? I ate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work, because if you don't trust no one can let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, Scarper. I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of that overcoat. There's some very suspicious red stains. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. Ooh, let's go over this first, because I've been avoiding it.
We already have the representation papers and the other documents we need.
All we have to do is hand them to the court clerk. That is, if you'll allow me to represent you in court tomorrow.
Nah, don't bother.
Ginny! Rip them up and chuck them, would ya? Them representation papers, or whatever they're called. This cell ain't fancy enough to have a bin. Weird things that make me happy, when they use the word bin instead of trash can or something. I love it when the Brits are British. Anyway, so what will you do in court tomorrow?
I'll be fine on my own. I don't think you will be.
Look, it don't matter. What's going to happen is going to happen. This is one stubborn pickpocket. Right, let's present some blood, I guess. I don't know if that one or that one would work best. I'm guessing this? Do you see this pawnbroker's ticket, Gina? It's the one you took to Winterbanks, isn't it? The one for that black overcoat that you're wearing now. Eh? What, that? I don't know. They all look the same to me, those tickets. Surely not. Well, this one has a very obvious mark on it that would appear to be blood. Eh? Does that ring any bells? I don't know. It all looks the same to me, blood. And they all sound the same to me, these answers. Suspicious. There's stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet.
What? But blood, Mr. Naruhodo.
You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So could it be blood that splattered from Mr. Winterbank when he was shot last night?
Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else.
Eh? Take it easy, Iris.
Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot.
That's probably not alarming at all. Oh boy. That's thrice-fired Mason's blood.
Oh!
Oh my. What the? Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Of course. The black colour of the fabric is masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them until now.
And the blood has reacted with a chemical to turn a purple colour,
which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly.
Yes, now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Aha! Yes, it was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago.
I knew it.
What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean?
It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed.
Oi, would someone explain what's going on? Stop telling half a story.
That's why he wanted the jacket pawned before the police got there. Oh boy. We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilded's overcoat.
But in the trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony.
Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. But if you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from McGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet.
No. If that was what really had happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat.
The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus McGilded. I mean, yeah.
Mr. Naruhodo.
That horrible case is solved at last, and I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen?
Bruno, did you believe him, though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent?
I believed. Or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to. Because believing in those you represent in court is a defence lawyer's greatest weapon.
A weapon?
Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson.
You mean Kazuma-sama?
Listen, Ryunosuke. We lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie. Which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we really have. Unwavering belief. Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina? Of course, sounds like in the Empire of Japan you come from. Everyone must be soft. Oh, come on. Look at the mess it's got you into, believing in that bog trotter. Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free. I'm for all of 5 minutes. Obviously, it's not great that he mysteriously died in a fire, but at least he's technically not walking free anymore. Well, at least you learned your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let down your guard, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one. Get hurt by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I bet that's what he wants and all now. Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I? Are you telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? A lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. We're doing this the Ace Attorney way. Stupid to the end. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial. Eh? Are you half-baked? Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth. Seriously, Mr. Naruhodo. Didn't you hear all of what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off my tongue. And I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it. Oh, my laptop is running out. Crisis averted. Gina. I do understand why you choose not to put your trust in others. But I assure you, there is more to this life than you yet realise. What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down. Eh? It's true that I'm just a student of law, and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side. What do you expect me to say to that? Oh, Gina. Then it's decided. I will take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You Eastern lot of... I don't know what you are. I don't get you. Gina's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out alright in the end, I think. Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice. Okay. I was sort of expecting that to end quietly, but I guess not. Mrs. Zato? Somebody's there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. Is it Sholmes? What? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Oh, no. Hi, Gregson. I suppose you were using one of them mystic Japanese arts, like the art of stealth I'd heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector. Grexy! Oh dear me, I am most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you. How long have you been listening in on our conversation? Good grief, listening in? No, no, no. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived, this very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best, bye-bye and bye. That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship. Oh, but I wanted to have a chat. I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute. Oh, I see. That's a shame. If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with sharpish, Lord Strongheart will, well... Emergency? Lord Strongheart? Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off. Alright, Grexy, if you have to, but let's chat soon. Delighted. Charmed. Can't wait, if you please. My pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere. Grexy's so funny. He says such silly things. It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court. I must attend the court clerk's office now before it closes. Yes, of course. Thank you, Mrs. Zato. Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later. And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. And then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan. Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted. What about you, Susato-san? Today's been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes. Gina was arrested. All on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon. Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them. I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow. One final task. It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret. I'm so sorry, Susato-san. It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts. I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something. And what would that be? It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities. Facets? And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we see only a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on for as long as we live. That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san. I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry, I've what? Oh no, it was nothing. Unimportant. Do you know what time you will leave London in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m. Ooh. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry. I'm sure you realise why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible. Even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. Is the final task going to be colouring in the other eye of the Daruma doll? I think that's what it was called, because he's a fully fledged lawyer now. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. Okay, so I was wrong. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents? It's my notes, from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The McGilded case. It seems to me that this case of Mr. Winterbag's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about this case for you. With everything else she's had to think about, Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Susato-san. I will do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry? I didn't quite catch what you said there. Oh, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. That was ominous. Okay. Well, it's getting rather late. I think that you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something I need to say. Hey-ya! Okay. What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. Aww, that's sad. Susato-san. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind. Eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. Good grief, this is the episode that keeps on giving. Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honour and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madam. Huh. Well then, that was an ending. Lots to unpack from this episode. But we shall do it in the next. So thank you for watching. Apologies again to future Aurora of having to edit this mess. And I'll see everyone next time. Goodbye.